Hi, my name is Sarah Lynn. I'm the owner and head tutor at Bettering Youth. On January 13th, we're going to be launching our very own virtual classroom for the Real World Maths Club. We're all about bringing the classroom into the real world. And so I wanted to come and demonstrate for you one of the ways that we provide the basic skills students need to attain the objectives for Key Stage 2 maths curriculum and how we can connect it to our real world situations. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you through it. One of the best ways that we can demonstrate how to convert between fractions, decimals, and percent, which is the topic that we're going to be focusing on in this terms program, is by looking at a place value chart. Now, a place value chart is something that students are familiar with from elementary school. So from probably around year 3, we start learning about this. However, many students struggle to find the connection in how we convert between fractions, decimal, and percent. So let's write that here, fractions to decimals to percent, and vice versa, because they are all interconnected. One of the very first things that I think is so important is that we show how they are interconnected. So we all know right before the decimal or right after it on the left-hand side, we have the units, followed by the tens, hundreds, and in the upper years, we talk about the thousands. But behind the decimal, there are spaces as well. We need to know what these spaces are called in order to allow the place value chart to support our understanding of how it's all connected. Therefore, what I enjoy doing is demonstrating a mirror line. So I'm going to change my color here so you can see. If I imagine that there is a mirror line here, a mirror reflects things. If we use our imagination, I know it's not true, but if we imagine that this decimal is the same thing as saying the units or the ones column, well, that would mean that the next space behind the decimal or our imaginary ones space would have to be the tenths column. And we demonstrate the tenths column with T, TH. That would then mean that the next column over would have to mirror the hundred. So we put H, TH for hundredths. And then if you're speaking with older students, we can talk about mirroring the thousands to make the TH, TH, or the thousands column. But what does that mean? What is a tenth or a thousandth? Well, if we're able to connect it to fractions, it's going to make a world of difference in understanding. So the tenths column is really saying 1 out of 10. Or, to be fair, it's actually saying 10 out of 100. So let me move this out of the way. And 10 out of 100 simplified is 1/10. Looking at the hundredths column, we know that that would be 1 out of 100. And then in the thousandths, you guessed it, 1 out of 1,000. Now, already we have made the connection between decimals and fractions. Therefore, if students have to convert something like, let's say, 0.78 as a fraction, well, they would need to remind themselves, okay, there's 2 decimal spaces, which means that in my place value chart, it would fall here, 0, decimal, 7, 8. Oh, look, it ends in the hundredths. Hundredths is 1 over 100, which means I can make the fraction 78 over 100. Without having to do any dividing or multiplying, our students are able to make that connection right out of the gate. Of course, we'll then talk to them about simplifying fractions. My favorite way of simplifying fractions is actually to partition, which means we look at 7 as 70, and we look at 8 as 8. And then we partition those two numbers again. Half of 70 is 35. Half of 8 is 4. If we put those two numbers together, we get 39. Half of 78 is equal to 39, and half of 100 is 50. We're able to continue that process until we find our simplified fraction. And just like that, our students have been able to very confidently go from a decimal to a fraction. Of course, this works vice versa as well. If the student had 78 over 100, they would be able to put it into their place value chart. Even if they had 39 over 50, they would recognize that 50 is not in our place value chart, but if you double it, it would be. So they would double it, bringing it back to 78 over 100, and then they could put it back in their chart. Easy peasy. Now, what about if we wanted to go from decimals to percent? That's where we start looking again at our fraction. Percent is really the word per cent, and cent is the word cent. Century, or cent en français, is 100. So percent equals per 100. Therefore, if we wanted to put 0.78 as a percent, we notice that it's already out of 100 as a fraction. Therefore, as a percent, it would be 78 over 100, and that would give us 78%. Of course, if we wanted to demonstrate how we can turn it into a percent using multiplying, then we would very simply discuss moving places on the place value chart. Per 100 says that we multiply 100. Therefore, all of our digits are going to move one space towards the left to get bigger. The 7 jumps over the decimal and comes into the units, jumps past the units and into the tens column and lands there. The 8 is going to jump over the tenths, past the decimal and into the units column, giving us 78%. While this is not an inclusive method of demonstrating just how much detail we went into in our free trial of the Real World Math Club, I hope that it allows you to visualize how much information and how many different tools we're going to be able to provide your child to ensure that they fully understand the foundational skills that will be required for them to approach abstract problems like word problems and manipulate these topics to be able to serve them in the real world. That's what our program is all about, giving them the foundational skills, pushing them outside of their comfort zone with hotter questions, and allowing them to build confidence so they can start bringing these skills into the real world. Behind me is, on this side, behind me is our board with all of our students. The green side is our comprehension club, which is absolutely fantastic. And the pink side has 10 spaces. 6 of those 10 spaces are currently filled. 6 out of 10, 60% or 0.6, right? With some easy math, because I know it's an easy peasy equation, it means that there are only 4 spaces left for this half term's Real World Math Club. If you'd like more information, or if you'd like to chat to make sure that this is something that will be suitable for your child, please do get in touch. The link will be below, as well as some information on the objectives that we are intending to cover during this time. So grateful for your time. If this is value to you, please know that you are more than welcome to use this setup with your home learning approach. Remember, we're all in this together. I hope you have a great day.